Super Micro Computer Incorporated, ticker SMCI, has given investors a roller coaster experience worthy of a Hollywood thriller. 1 minute it's riding high on the cloud of AI hype, the next it's plunging on worries about competition and accounting hiccups. SMCI's rough morning, guidance cut, and a pre-market plunge. Let's start with the latest plot twist. Recently, SMCI's stock dropped over 4% in pre-market trading, the kind of news that makes any investor do a double-take before their first cup of coffee. What happened? The night before, Super Micro Computer's management delivered some sobering news. They cut their full-year revenue outlook for fiscal 2025. In plain terms, they told investors, "We're not going to sell as much as we thought this year." The new expected revenue range is about $21.8 to $22.6 billion, trimmed down from an earlier optimistic forecast of $23.5 to $25 billion. That's a significant downgrade, and markets hate when a company says, "Actually, we'll make less money than we hoped." Why the lower outlook? SMCI's leadership pointed the finger at economic uncertainty. Think, a choppy economy making customers hesitant to spend, and tough competition in the server market. It turns out that even being an AI server maker doesn't grant immunity from macroeconomic headwinds. Higher interest rates, cautious corporate IT budgets, and geopolitical issues, like tariffs, all create an economic fog. CEO Charles Liang explained that some big clients hit the pause button on orders recently. They delayed making product decisions, pushing those deals out to future quarters. In other words, some expected sales got procrastinated. And about that competition, Super Micro faces some tech gladiators in the server arena. Giants like Dell Technologies and Hewlett-Packard Enterprise (HP) are well entrenched, and numerous other players, think Lenovo, IBM, and even upstarts, are vying for the same customers. It's a bit like a gladiator battle in the Colosseum, and SMCI is up against some heavyweight champions. One analyst bluntly commented that Super Micro might be losing market share to the likes of Dell. Ouch. When you're fighting bigger competitors and your industry is slowing down, it's a double whammy. So, combine a murky economic outlook with ferocious competition, and what do you get? A not-so-super morning for Super Micro's stock price. Shares fell about 5% in after-hours trading right after this news, and by the next pre-market session, they were still down over 4%. It's as if the stock yelled, "Mayday!" and investors reacted accordingly. But this single drop is just one chapter of the story. To really get it, we need to rewind and see how SMCI ended up in this situation over the last year. By the way, if you are benefiting from the content so far and want more like this, like the video, it means much to me, or hit the subscribe button and comment the word more. Just go ahead and type the word more so I know. Now that you have commented, let's continue. A 52-week beatdown. How SMCI underperformed the market. Over the past year, SMCI has been through what can only be described as a harsh reality check. If you compare SMCI's stock performance to the broader market, it's like night and day. In the last 52 weeks, SMCI shares plunged about 60.3%, while the S&P 500 actually climbed about 8.2% in the same period. That's right. Super Micro was deep in the red while the general market was chugging along in the green. Talk about being the odd one out at the party. Why did SMCI stock get wrecked so badly? Let's break down the drama. From hot to not long ago, SMCI was a market darling, riding the wave of AI hype. Remember the buzz about AI this, AI that. In tech? Super Micro, which builds server hardware, including those used for AI workloads, was one of the biggest beneficiaries of the surge in spending on advanced data center gear for AI. Its stock soared to an all-time high of around $100 per share in 2024. Investors were basically saying, "Take my money!" in anticipation of AI-driven growth. But high expectations can be a dangerous thing. Accounting issues. The plot twist. Then came the plot twist that knocked the wind out of SMCI's sails. The company hit a serious snag with its accounting and financial filings. In late 2024, Supermicro delayed releasing its earnings reports because it found some accounting complexities that needed sorting out, never a good sign. This raised red flags all over Wall Street. Nervous investors started whispering about potential accounting irregularities, and some even feared SMCI could get delisted from Nasdaq if it didn't get its books in order. Basically, SMCI was in the penalty box. Trust evaporated almost overnight. The stock went from hero to zero with breathtaking speed, plunging over 70% from its peak at one point. It was like watching a rocket ship suddenly run out of fuel and plummet back to Earth. Margin squeeze and missed estimates. As if that wasn't enough, when SMCI did finally report results, investors saw a troubling trend: shrinking profits. Despite strong sales, more on that soon, costs were spiking. Think of it like a bakery selling more cupcakes than ever, but suddenly flour and sugar prices triple. Your revenue is up but profit craters. Supermicro's operating income dropped over 60% year-over-year in the latest quarter, and adjusted earnings per share fell by more than half. It also missed Wall Street's earnings expectations in 2 of the last 3 quarters. Declining margins, even amid booming sales, suggested tough competition and possibly aggressive pricing. Bigger rivals may have forced SMCI to cut deals or spend more to win business, eating into profits. One seeking alpha analysis noted tough competition from Dell, HP, and other larger server producers. As a factor behind those eroding margins, i.e., SMCI had to fight harder on price and it hurt their bottom line. When investors see growth without profits, they get uneasy, and you guessed it, they sell the stock. Sentiment and hype wear off. Remember that AI hype? Well, hype has a shelf life. As 2024 wore on, some investors started cooling on anything AI-related that wasn't delivering immediate tangible returns. The phrase, "show me the money," comes to mind. SMCI's massive stock run-up earlier was based on future promise. When clouds, like the above issues, appeared, a lot of that hot air came out of the balloon very fast. In short, SMCI spent the last 52 weeks as a cautionary tale. It went from being in AI era wunderkind to getting pummeled by a combination of its own missteps and external pressures. The end result, down 60% over a year, a real black eye compared to the S&P 500's solid gains. Climbing back up, SMCI's 2025 recovery, so far. After such a rough 2024, you might expect SMCI to keep sinking. But here's a twist in our story that adds a ray of hope. Year-to-date in 2025, SMCI's stock is actually up about 8.1%, as of early May. It's not exactly a return to glory, but hey, a gain is a gain, especially when you consider that the S&P 500 was slightly down in the same timeframe, around a minus 4.7% YTD for the index. In other words, SMCI has outperformed the market so far this year. How did that happen? Think of 2025 as a bit of a comeback tour for SMCI, or at least a rehabilitation period. A few factors have helped the stock stabilize and even inch upwards, such as no more delisting panic. First, SMCI managed to address its most scary issue: the accounting filings. By February 2025, the company filed all its delayed financial reports in time to meet Nasdaq's deadline. Phew! This meant the immediate threat of being kicked off the stock exchange was off the table. Investors could breathe a little easier that the accounting nightmare was being resolved. Think of this like a storm passing. The company cleaned up the mess, restated whatever needed restating, and got back to business. This went a long way to restore some lost trust. After all, if the numbers are legit and up to date, investors can start focusing on the actual business again, rather than fretting about worst-case scenarios. Fear God, and give glory to Him, for the hour of His judgment is come, and worship Him that made heaven, and earth, and the sea, and the fountains of waters. Revelation 14 verse 7. I appeal to you to fear God and obey His law, for His commandments are sure and His word everlasting. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged. Want more information? Please check the description section. That's the end for now. If you have watched until the end, drop a comment like this: I stayed until the end. Just comment that I stayed until the end. When I see this comment, I will give you a heart. 3 more favors I request from you. First, like this video, subscribe, and then turn on the notifications bell. If you do this, you greatly encourage me to continue bringing to you insightful information. Do not miss out on our future videos full of insight. All I am asking is your subscription. Thanks for joining us today. Your support means so much to us. Do not hesitate to share this video to help someone who may benefit. I recommend that you watch the next video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts about today's video. Wish you God's blessings and care. Wait, watch, and pray. See you in the next video according to God's will.